Here is a puzzling thought. Every single chicken you consume was hatched into a family. Yet when you grab a carton of eggs at the grocery store, where are all the brothers? Since hens supply eggs while roosters cannot, a peculiar problem emerges. Commercial egg facilities require vast numbers of female birds, yet roughly half of all newborn chicks arrive as males. So what actually happens to these young roosters? Do agricultural companies raise them for meat? Do they grow up into farmyard adults? Or do they simply disappear into thin air? Furthermore, why did human society construct a global food supply chain where one sex of an animal became extraordinarily lucrative, while the other was rendered virtually useless? The explanation traces back to a tiny biological reality that completely revolutionized the poultry industry.
First, an important detail must be clarified. Male chickens are entirely edible. There is nothing inherently dangerous or unappetizing about eating rooster meat, and human civilizations have consumed them for thousands of years. The real question is why male chicks from egg-laying stocks aren't systematically raised for meat in the same manner as specialized meat birds. The answer comes down to pure economics. In the modern world, chickens are effectively split into two completely separate animals. One variety is selected for egg production, while the other is bred for meat. Although both belong to the exact same species, human intervention has pushed their genetics in radically different directions.
Consider the egg-laying hen first. A modern laying bird is a marvel of agricultural engineering, capable of producing hundreds of eggs annually. However, there is a fundamental catch. A male chicken cannot lay a single egg. While that statement sounds painfully obvious, consider its financial impact on a commercial farm. A producer requires millions of egg producers. A male chick contributes no eggs, meaning every month spent feeding him represents lost money spent on a creature that will never deliver the intended commercial product. That financial drain is only the first obstacle. The second issue is that male chicks from laying breeds make terrible meat birds. They remain relatively small, gain weight sluggishly, and convert feed into muscle far less efficiently than specialized meat breeds known as broilers. A modern broiler chicken has been selectively engineered for a single purpose: lightning-fast growth. These birds reach market size in roughly 6 to 8 weeks. An egg-laying breed possesses no such genetic machinery. Its physiology is wired solely for egg production. Consequently, raising its male offspring for human consumption is financially impractical.
This reality prompted humanity to make an unusual choice. Rather than attempting to breed a single, all-purpose bird, we engineered specialized breeds, one optimized for eggs, another for meat. This concept mirrors industrial specialization. In manufacturing, a factory could attempt to build 10 different vehicle models on a single assembly line, or it could build 10 distinct facilities, each perfected for a single model. The second approach yields vastly superior efficiency. That exact industrial logic was applied to poultry farming. This leads to a fact that catches most consumers off guard. The chicken on your dinner plate is rarely the same breed as the bird that laid your morning egg. Commercial broilers are bred specifically for explosive physical development and heavy breast meat. Conversely, commercial layers are bred for extraordinary egg frequency. They operate as two entirely distinct agricultural tools, which directly creates the surplus male problem. When a hatchery breeds millions of egg-laying females, half of the resulting offspring are unneeded. The males exist merely as a biological byproduct of producing the females.
In earlier centuries, managing this dynamic was straightforward. Traditional farmers kept a few roosters to fertilize eggs and manage small backyard flocks. The remaining males were simply harvested for family meals. Modern industrial egg production, however, operates on a vastly larger scale. Massive commercial hatcheries hatch millions of chicks simultaneously and have zero need for millions of adult roosters. So what happens to them? Historically, the standard industry practice was as swift as it was grim. Male chicks were culled shortly after emerging from their shells. Male chick culling remains one of the most controversial aspects of modern animal agriculture. The practice exists not because male chickens lack intrinsic value, but because the strict economics of industrial farming make housing them unprofitable. Eventually, researchers began searching for a technological solution to this dilemma.
What if farm operators could determine the sex of an embryo long before the egg actually hatches? By identifying the gender early, hatcheries would never need to hatch male chicks at all.
This search led to the development of In-Ovo sexing technologies. These methods scan developing embryos while they remain sealed inside the shell. If an embryo tests male, the egg is redirected away from the hatchery before incubation finishes. If female, it continues developing into a future laying hen. Essentially, science is deploying high-tech engineering to fix a biological dilemma created by industrial farming. Of course, a far older solution has always existed. Simply cook and eat the male birds. Across many cultures, people do precisely that. Older roosters are traditionally featured in soups, stocks, stews, and braised dishes. Their meat is naturally tougher because the birds are older and more active, but that doesn't mean it lacks flavor. It simply requires slow, careful cooking techniques. Younger males can also be grown for meat, but the fundamental barrier remains economic efficiency. When running a massive supply chain designed to yield cheap, plentiful meat, farm operators prefer a specialized broiler over a lean layer breed male every time. Decades of selective breeding have turned the broiler into an unbeatable meat-producing system. That is why the packaged chicken in your local grocery store almost certainly did not originate from an egg farm.
Interestingly, humanity did not originally domesticate chickens for meat production. Early domesticated birds were valued for a wide variety of purposes: egg laying, meat, feathers, social status, cockfighting, and religious rituals. In many ancient societies, roosters were prized assets. A rooster wasn't merely something to throw in a cooking pot, it was an animal to be admired. Its morning crow announced the dawn, and its aggressive posture symbolized courage and prestige. The male chicken's modern devaluation began only with the advent of industrial agriculture. Once farming transformed into a mass production system handling billions of animals, any non-productive creature turned into an unacceptable expense. Feed, housing, land, labor, and transport all cost money. The mathematical reality became unforgiving. A male chick from an egg-laying line cannot produce eggs, nor can it convert feed into meat efficiently. Thus, the industry arrived at a cold question. What is the most cost-effective method to acquire the female layers we actually need?
This economic drive produced a strange paradox in modern farming. A perfectly healthy animal is rendered commercially worthless simply because it was born male. That outcome isn't dictated by nature, it is dictated by the design of our production systems. There is a broader lesson hidden within this story. Humans have spent millennia reshaping the animal kingdom. We don't merely domesticate wild species, we re-engineer their biology to suit our economic desires. We select specific traits, amplify them through selective breeding, and watch as the animal transforms over generations. The modern chicken stands as the ultimate example of this process. A wild jungle fowl was split into two separate living machines. One built to produce eggs, the other built to generate meat. Somewhere along that evolutionary path, the male offspring of the egg producer became an unwanted surplus.
So why don't we routinely eat male chickens? The short answer is that we do in certain culinary contexts. However, in modern commercial agriculture, most male chicks are never raised for meat because they belong to genetic strains engineered strictly for egg laying. The egg industry has no operational use for them, and the meat industry relies on far more efficient broiler breeds. The male chicken vanished from our dinner plates not because his meat is inedible, but because human ingenuity optimized the entire system around extreme efficiency. That leaves us with a truly bizarre reality. The chicken roasting in your oven, the egg frying in your pan, and the rooster crowing on a rural farm belong to the exact same species. Yet after thousands of years of human intervention, they no longer share the same role. We took a single wild bird and split it into an egg factory, a meat factory, a breeding animal, and a morning alarm clock. And the male chicken simply got caught in the machinery of a system constructed entirely for his sisters.